You can live without power. Humans have done it for most of our existence, but you can't live without water. It's a fundamental human right. But how much is the current water crisis in Johannesburg a sign of things to come? Should we prepare for day zero? And how soon would that happen? Who would tell us? Joburg Water? Rand Water? Part of the problem, of course, has been the blame shifting and finger pointing of the different entities in charge of this precious resource. I'm so pleased to tell you the Mayor of Johannesburg, Kabelo Gwamanda, joins us now to explain. Thank you so much for talking to us, Mr. Mayor, and welcome to 702 Breakfast.
Good morning, Bongani, and good morning to your listeners.
On Friday, you said by tomorrow we will see water start running through the taps. And yet here we are, Rand Water warning over the weekend. In fact, the system is now facing imminent collapse.
No, thank you very much for the question. As a matter of fact, I was in a 3-hour-long meeting yesterday with Rand Water, talking about the challenges that we face collectively. Joburg Water as a water authority and Rand Water as a bulk water supplier. I can with confidence say that we understand the challenges that both entities are facing. And as you would know, the contributing factor to the water disruption that we face was due to lightning having struck city power's infrastructure. Water is complicated as opposed to electricity, as you've alluded to in the latter statement. But for us to be able to restore systems and ensure that water reaches the taps, it takes a significant amount of time. So that is in the most part the delay that has contributed to there being no water. But the infrastructure has been restored, and with confidence, from the 50% water disruption that we faced on the 3rd, we have then improved our systems to about 90%. So it's just a few pockets here and here of which our engineers on the ground are ensuring that we restore the problem completely.
Mr. Mayor, I can rattle off any number of areas. Let's start in Soweto, for example, whether you're in Orlando West or Dube, Mzimhlope, Mufulo, North and Central, Diepkloof. But we can go to Diepsloot and Riversdale View. We can go to Orange Farm, Ennerdale, Lawley, Lenasia. We've, of course, had issues in areas in the Randburg area, in Blagauri, in Cresta, in Linden. I mean, there are lots of swathes of Johannesburg without water. The idea that we're now back at 90% capacity is called comfort to all those people who are, as we speak, without water.
So the water systems have been restored. Where we realized that there would be a delay beyond what we had anticipated, we undertook an exercise of bypassing the water supply from the reservoirs directly to the tap, so that we ensure that we get water to our residents speedily. But for the communities that are without water, and I heard about Soweto yesterday, but I am going there today to go and do an assessment to get a determination as to why exactly is there a challenge with water.
Well, Rand Water told us this weekend our reservoirs are frightfully low.
So Rand Water reservoirs, I think the one that we are engaging about, which is the Ekenof pump station, supplies 120 megaliters per day to the city of Johannesburg. So they are a bulk supplier. We as Joburg Water are then the distributors. So when it comes to our systems, it's Joburg Water that would then advise us which areas would be affected, not Rand Water. Rand Water is the initial supplier of water, but when it gets to...
Sure, but ultimately, whatever water you are then distributing comes from Rand Water, and they're telling us their reservoirs are low.
The reason why, yes, that's what we were talking about yesterday in particular. And it is due to the high water supply, water usage that is in the three big metros. Unfortunately, the city of Johannesburg sits at the very top. And we, as the city, together with Rainwater, have agreed on approaching this particular situation differently, looking at the water leaks that exist and continuously encouraging our customers to use water sparingly, so that we can be able to assist Rainwater in recovering their systems. Because the more we consume the water from Rainwater, the more they are unable to stabilize their water supply. But I can only speak on the part of Joburg Water. I can't speak on the part of Ekurhuleni and Tshwane, because we are on the same page in terms of water consumption level.
Mr. Mayor, do you appreciate perhaps how painful it is, even the lack of sensitivity, when we're given all sorts of explanations, from a lightning bolt to a valve that was left closed for days and no one even knew, to be told that as the residents, it's our overconsumption that might be partly to blame, when in fact nearly half of our water is lost, half of our supply is lost to non-revenue water, that is leaks. Do you understand how difficult it is for residents to swallow it then when we're told actually it's our overconsumption?
Well, just to try and assist, it has always been an issue of overconsumption in the city of Johannesburg. The issue of the lightning striking the city power substation is an occurrence that we had no control over. At the time, we were working on deploying a campaign not only to attend to the water leakages in the city of Johannesburg, but also to embark on a campaign of engaging our customers, because our customers are equally as important to us. So it is important to run a campaign that will educate them about the state of the water affairs in the city of Johannesburg, what the contributing factors are to where we currently find ourselves, and measures in which we can collectively work on to ensure that we restore our water systems to the levels in which they are supposed to be in.
I guess, Mr. Mayor, I'm trying to get a sense of some accountability, some concession from you that there's a lot more the administration could do to deal with this. Because, again, 44% of our supply is lost to non-revenue water. We have a situation where this valve was left closed for days. No one knew. I mean, surely somebody must be engaged with the system to be able to pick up an obstruction. Let's say that's what it was. And at this stage, I'm not sure which frightens me more, that it happened or that no one knew. You can go on all the campaigns you want, but if that kind of thing happens in the city, we're going to have this problem. It's not the consumer's fault.
Let me just try and clarify the issue of the valve that has been closed. I can't speak much on it, but when we experienced the lightning strike, what needed to happen on the part of Rainwater is to ensure that when the power is restored, all their systems that they use to pump water into our water supply had to be done systematically. So the issue of the valve could have been one of the measures that Rainwater had put in place to ensure that we do not experience high pressure and the bursting of pipes along the infrastructure. So, like I had said in my previous interviews, that the issue of the valve is being investigated to try and get a determination as to what exactly was the reason for it to be closed at the time. I am confident that Rainwater would then provide a reasonable explanation in that regard, although it may have caused a bit of a delay on the overall restoration of the water supply in the city of Johannesburg. But the valve itself, I think, and not that I'm speaking on behalf of Rainwater, may have been a measure that had been put in place to try.
So as far as the city is concerned, you take absolutely no responsibility for any of this?
I'm not saying that. But remember, the city of Johannesburg to Rainwater is responsible for systems that are supplied from the Ekenhof water system. So on the part of rainwater, we do not have access to their infrastructure. The measures in which they put in place are exclusive to them.
Mr. Mayor, why did it take so long for you to emerge and respond to this crisis?
I have been on the ground with councillors. I've been on the ground trying to get a sense of what are the contributing factors to the delays. I've been doing an oversight visit to be able to get an appreciation of our complicated water system that is utilized by Joburg Water. But the first press briefing that was initiated was done by Joburg Water, and it was a technical one to try and give an explanation as to what exactly came subsequent to the lightning having struck our city power infrastructure. My role was then to continue providing the necessary information to the councillors so that they can be able to disseminate it to the residents. I was also equally coordinating between the core administration and both entities, because there had been a disjuncture whereby the questions that came could not be answered by one entity in the absence of the other.
Kabelo Gwamanda, as the Mayor of Johannesburg, appreciate your time this morning. How do you feel about those explanations, those answers? If you are a resident of Johannesburg, just imagine running a business in that environment. Potential investors, no doubt, would simply shake their heads and take their money elsewhere. What are the reasons? A lightning bolt, a valve, the hot weather, overconsumption by residents? Are there explanations? Or perhaps just excuses?
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions.
Your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.